Good day. Today, we examine about the cultural identity of the Boholano people, locally known as the Bohol-Anon, residing in the island province of Bohol within the Central Visayas of the Philippines. As documented by Pamogos 2022, Bohol is derived from the term Bool, which translated as a state of abundance. In 2022 census, the population is approximately 1.39 million, according to Latino 2021. The historical trajectory of Boholanos begin with Austronesian settlers. They are historically identified as descendants of the Pintados, or the tattooed ones, according to Latino 2021. Pre-colonial Bohol was far from isolated. Archaeological evidence, specifically artifacts from the Ming Dynasty, confirmed active maritime trade as early as the 10th century, according to Pamogos 2022. Furthermore, they are maintained a high level of literacy, utilizing an indigenous writing system recorded on perishable materials such as bamboo bark and leaves, according to Vista 2021. The first image from the example is the image of the Pintados, and the second one is the writing system recorded on the bamboo bark. Bohol's history is characterized by diplomacy and defiance. In 1565, the Sandugo or Blood Compact between Dato Sicatuna and Miguel Lopez de Legazpi served as the first international peace treaty between Filipinos and Spaniards according to Visto 2021. However, the quest for self-government remained paramount or very important, which shows by the Daguhoan Rebellion, led by Francis Daguhoan. This revolt lasted for 85 years, making it the longest recorded rebellion in the Philippines history, according to Pamogos 2022. As you can see, the first image in the screen is the Sandogo Shrine and the other is the image of Francisco Dagohoy. The logistic identity of the region is centered on Binol-Anon, a distinct dialect of Cebuano. As noted by Latino 2021, a defining phonetic characteristic is the shift where the standard Y sound is replaced by a J sound, like the word maayo to maayo. Beyond logistic, the term sano is widely used among locals, serving as social marker of kinship. A video will be played on what is their dialect sound of.
Convert man ko, dili jud ko tig chika-chikag mga tao. So tanan before na ko iingon is
Boholano society is anchored by Catholicism, a legacy of 300 years of Spanish influence. Yet it remains by indigenous folk belief according to Latino 2021. Culturally, the Bol-Anon are renowned for their hospitality and thriftiness. According to Pumagas 2022, hospitality is considered the highest form of self-expression. Welcoming guests into one's home is a sacred duty that transcends financial status, fostering communal unity and mutual respect. The artistic output of Bohol is deeply tied to its natural environment. The province is celebrated for raffia weaving and long-standing tradition of handcraft guitars, according to Pamogas 2022. Performing arts are equally significant, featuring the Kuratsa Boholana, a courtship dance imitating the movement of avian species, and the Nilambag, which mimic the blue crab, according to Latino 2021. A video of Riffian waving and Kuratsa Boholana dance will be played. Bohol is often called the fiesta capital. In May, the month of fiesta fever, where every barangay celebrates its patron saint according to Lotino 2021. They also hold the Sandugo Festival to honor the blood of Datu Sikatuna, and also the Ubi Festival where the ubi or purple yam is considered a sacred crop that if one drop it on the ground, they must kiss it to show respect according to Lotino 2021. Their cuisine reflects their state of abundance. Delicacies like calamay, peanut kisses, and binago are world famous. During the festival, the lechon is the ultimate symbol of wealth and gratitude, according to Latino 2021. And sharing this food is not just about eating, it's a way of strengthening family ties and mutual respect, according to Pumugas 2022.
So now, let's move on to the social structure and way of life of the Boholano people. But before that, I'm gonna discuss these two about them. So, Boholano people are known to be thrifty, law-abiding, and humble people. What does it mean by thrifty, law-abiding? This means that they are responsible, prudent, and orderly members of society. Someone who manages their personal resources while respecting the rules and safety of the community. Other than that, Buhalano people are known to be family oriented and they value solidarity. Now, let's move on to the traditional government of the Buholano. It is consisted of ruling class, composed of the Dato, which is the chief, and his family, the Timawa, who are freeborn, who render their services to the Dato in his family, and lastly, the Uripon, who are slave, who serve both the Dato and the Timawa classes. To further discuss, the Datu or the scope of the Datu's rule depended upon his powers and ability to wield authority over his subjects and even other Datus. Thus, his rule might range over a number of families composing one village to a number of villages composing a district. The quantity of gold enslaved that the owned was measure of his prestige. This means that a Datu might own more than 100 slaves as a status symbol. As for the Timawa class, they served the Datu with manual labor, like farming and foraging for him and building his house. They paid him a buwis or what we call tribute, which consisted of a portion of their own harvest. Then for the slave, of course, the Uripun or the slave both served the Datu and the Timawa. Other than that, there is what we call a council of elders who settle disputes over property and wrongs committed by one party against another. Their decisions were based not on written laws but on custom and tradition handed down from their ancestor. So, for the traditional livelihood, according to Karen Fit Pilotino in his discussion on his YouTube channel entitled Boholano Tribe, she discussed two traditional livelihood of the Boholano, which are agriculture and fishing. So, agriculture like planting rice, kamote, cassava, taro, beans, and considerable bananas and coconuts for the inland of Bohol, and fishing for the coastal areas of Bohol. So it means that their livelihood depends on the area they are in. Next is the education and knowledge system. So in pre-colonial time, education of youth was entrusted by an elderly person, so whose instruction on morality and ethics were done at the children's home, and palm and leaves and bamboo were used for paper and iron stylus for the pen. This was done until the Spaniards introduced formal classroom in education to the Buholano and the Americans strengthened it with the public school system. For the current situation of the Boholano, they are now mainly focused on their tourism and ways on preserving their culture. So for the challenges faced, they focus on ways on maintaining their culture. Now let's move on to the last, which is the efforts to preserve culture and identity. And there is a Skayan Code of Bohol. So according to the provincial government of Bohol and national agencies convened on July 12, 2023 to discuss the Iskaya Code of Bohol proposed ordinance. This aim at conserving culture and tradition of the Iskaya communities. Because according to a national census 2285, Boholanos identified as Iskayan. So, it proposed creating cultural learning hubs, museums, trading centers, and improved transport links for the Iskaya people. Goals of preserving cultural heritage and enhancing economic opportunities for constituents. Then, the second one is in partnership with UNESCO. Cos Buholanos Asintibok or artisanal sea salt was inscribed in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Another one is in partnership with the UNESCO, because UNESCO recognized the Boholanos Asintibok or artisanal sea salt, which was inscribed in the UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Because according to the UNESCO, their goal is to safeguard this diverse heritage of humanity, particularly in the least represented countries, and to increase support for the communities in transmission of practices to the future generation. Before we end our report, we have a short reflection about the Boholano tribe.
As I research about the Boholanos, it's make me realize that while we are being humble, hospitable, and soft-spoken in life, we should not forget to never surrender our dignity or freedom just to please others, like the Dagohoy rebellion that lasted for 85 years.
In addition, Boholano contributes by preserving their unique cultural traditions, which is significant right now, such as festival. Furthermore, Boholano tribe is important to recognize and respect because of their efforts to still maintain their culture despite the challenges they face until today. So, thank you everyone for listening, and we accept any feedback, and we like to apologize if there's any error in our presentation. Once again, thank you for listening.